Hey friends, Sarah Fela here. We are going to talk today about what to do when you are in a spiral, a downward spiral of mom guilt or shame, or you just know that you've destroyed your kids forever and that they don't even you shouldn't even be doing this parenting thing. And the tool that I'm going to teach you is going to help you with that, but this can apply to any area of your life, like any place that you find yourself in a spiral, going into your head, into despair, into shame, into I suck, all of that stuff. There's a reason for it, and there's some steps to work through it. This post was, I actually have my Instagram open. I'm at Mom Coach Sarah, if you want to come over and say hi. And this post had a lot of feedback. And so I was like, oh, and I've been wanting to do this anyways, because this is a tool that I use with my clients all the time. I'm going to teach you the paradox prayer. But first, let's kind of set the stage, okay? Even in this post, I was like, this is how I started out. You ready for this? I'm just going to read it because it's funny. It's true. Hey, mama, what'd you do this time that has your inner voice berating and convincing you that you're the absolute worst mom in the world? Did you yell at your kids? Serve cereal for breakfast again? Have no idea how to end the homework and chore battles between you and your kids? It can be exhausting doing this motherhood thing. And it being hard is actually part of the gig. The sooner you accept that it will be hard, the sooner you'll be able to see the hard times with less judgment about your own parenting. Why we make the hard things into a big deal is because we attach shame to it. We think, oh, it's like all our fault. Like we make it mean something about ourselves. Like even if our kids are struggling, it's like, oh, it's my fault, right? And I'm probably a little bit more seasoned in this parenting thing than maybe some of you, right? And it doesn't get easier. So I was talking to a client last week where I was like, her son is 3, and I'm like, yeah, it's just the battles just change, but they're always there because you were raising a human who is separate than you, who is other than you. So this interesting divide that needs to start happening where it's like, okay, they are your heart and your soul and your life, and you know everything about them, but then also it's like, oh, they're their own person. They're their own individual. They think differently. They have different even values than you. You know what I mean? So it gets to be a little bit crazy. And so this is the question. So what do you do when mom guilt strikes? How do you silence it? Here's the deal. You say the thing you fear out loud. Wait, Sarah, that makes no sense. Won't that make me feel worse? No, you guys, it will not make you feel worse. So you have to be honest. Like, yeah, that wasn't my finest moment last night. Or, you know what, honestly, I feel guilty because I can't wait till my kid goes to school. I can't wait till I have a babysitter Friday night because I just want to go be with my man. I can't wait for like a girl's coffee date. You know what I mean? Whatever these things that we judge in our head, and it's different for all of us moms, but it's like, oh, well, that's the thing I do that makes me a bad mom. So listen, my friend, shame lives in darkness. And when you are in a shitstorm of mom guilt, it's because you know at your core there is a piece of truth about what you feel bad about, even if it's like 1%, right? So I had an experience like 2 weeks ago. I think we had parent teacher conferences, and it had been a long time since I had kind of spiraled into a mom guilt thing of like, I'm I'm horrible. My kid's gonna be a loser and it's all my fault. And it was all over homework, and now my kid's not doing his homework, and he does all these other things in class and all these things, which sometimes schools, like, they're looking at things that I don't even value as what's important, right? Like, he's crazy social. He's not gonna ever be a kid who goes and does some like doctorate program, right? That's just not his deal. But I came home and I found myself in this spiral of like, I'm a loser because I'm not teaching him discipline. I'm not teaching him all these things. But then I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, I don't even care about his homework, which of course, then why would I make him do something that I don't? Anyway, so this spiral started happening though. And I knew that I was in it. And I knew I just needed a night to let it be. Like, I even told my man, I'm like, I know I'm in a spiral. I'll get out of it. Just let me be. But you know how I got out of it is because I know there are tools. This tool I'm going to teach you. So let me just explain this to you. This is what Jesus means when he says to bring everything into the light. It's an invitation, not a punishment. I never used to understand that like shame thrives and grows in darkness. So that secret thing that you actually think about yourself that nobody else knows, bring it into the light, whether that's with a coach that you're talking to, a counselor, your spouse, your friend. Do it in a safe place, right? Like, don't be dumb, be wise about it. Or you go meet with Jesus about it. And if you don't know how to do that, like, we can chat, you know what I mean? So the next step, sorry, my nose is itching. I know, I'm so sorry. Um, which this is from my friend Katie Sturgia, who has a great book called Paradox Lost. Okay. You should read that book if you are struggling with like the both and of life, right? Like you are actually a pretty shitty mom and you are the best mom on the planet. You are actually lazy and you're actually like, you work harder than anybody I know, right? Whatever the two things that you are trying to hold in tension about yourself, her book will help you understand all of that. And it will also help you if you're on a theological kind of like deconstruction place. She really helped me mentally make sense of just a lot of my questions that I was going through theologically. So you have to say the thing out loud. So let's just choose, um, even though I'm a bad mom, right? So these are the three things that you're going to say. And this is going to be in the blog post. It'll be linked to this as well. Even though I blank, so fill it in, like, or if it's a specific incident, do that. Even though I yelled at my kid last night, even though I don't know, I ate that food that I said I wouldn't, and I broke my diet plan. Even, sorry, the sun's going in and out. Whatever your thing is, I'm loved and accepted by God. And if you, whatever God means to you, like I'm loved and accepted by source, by universe, whatever you tap into that is higher than yourself. So that's the first part. Even though I blank, I am loved and accepted by God. Even though I blank, I love and accept myself. You'll find one of these is harder to say. You might be like, yeah, God loves me, but I don't, because you have judgments about the thing that you're doing, whether they are right or whether they're because they have been placed on you by people that you know in your life. And then finally, even though I blank, I trust you, God. And so you're going to repeat this over and over until you, like, if you come into it, you're going to measure your shame on a scale of 1 to 10, right? And so if like that night of the homework, if I would have come into it, like, even though I'm like the worst mom on the planet, because I'm not teaching my son discipline to like get his work done, which I don't even care. I don't know. It's weird. I'm still figuring out where I fall in that line. Like, I'm like, I need to just sit down and journal and figure out what are my expectations and what do I actually expect from him when it comes to homework. Um, if when I came into that, I would have been at like a 10 because I just was spiraling that like it's all my fault that all these things are going on. You need to repeat this until you can say it, and the shame in your body, which it's a physical reaction for some, you know what I mean, like you might have that like pit in your stomach, you just feel like crap, until it's like below like a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. So I would just keep repeating that, and I would even fill in other words. Even though I don't teach my son to do his homework on time, even though I let my son play with friends when he should be inside doing homework, even though the teacher might think that I'm a horrible person and I'm not disciplined because my son is like that. Whatever the thing is for you, okay? You're going to keep saying it, because here's the deal. When you are in that shame storm, the next step, once you can say it and you are down, you are going to take that thing that you are saying about yourself and you are going to bring it to God. Okay? Whatever that looks like for you. You're going to bring it to God and you're going to say, God, Jesus, whoever, I think that I am a really bad mom. What do you have to say about this? And then you're going to stop and you're going to listen. But the thing is, if you immediately hear God being like, yeah, you actually suck pretty bad. If it's something that you need to make right, okay, granted, but I'm not talking about that. So like there's two different kind of categories here. And it doesn't mean that when you do some of these things that there aren't things that you need to go make right. But you know what? At your core, even if you are a bad mom, you're still loved and accepted by God, and you still should love and accept yourself. And so if you hear something that you're like, wait a minute, like, would a loving like God actually say that to me? And it's like not, there's still some shame. So what you would do at that point is you would go back in and you'd kind of work through some of those things and maybe write out even some other words. And this is what I do with my clients. Like I'll hear usually like 3 or 4 shame words, and we'll work through them to find out which one is actually the sticking one. Like for me in that situation, bad mom, I don't know if that necessarily would have been it. I think maybe it was more like, like the shame was that like, oh, I'm not preparing my son, which granted, it's kind of all in line with the bad mom thing, but it's like I needed to get a little bit more specific. So you find your thing. What is the thing that you're feeling shame about? And you don't even have to write this down. Sometimes I just do it when I find myself a little bit triggered, right? Like I'm like, even though this, I'm loved and accepted by God. And it's also helping your mind understand the both and the paradox of being a human, that you are incredible and you are also capable of horrible things, right? And being a bad mom is not a horrible thing, but you know what I'm saying? I'm speaking in contrast here to kind of, I mean, if you're a mom, you get it. We can be so hard on ourselves. So then you're going to listen and you're going to let truth speak to your heart and mind and let it deal with the guilt. And from there, maybe there are some things that you need to do, right? Like, so say if I feel like I'm a bad mom because I yelled at my kid, yeah, I need to go make that right. Like, I need to go apologize. I need to own that. But I don't need to walk around with the guilt and the shame and just feeling like beat up and be like, yeah, I'm the worst and I'm the whatever. Like, I don't need to be a victim to that. And so, yeah, let me see anything else I put in this post. If you still hear negative feedback and listening to God, it means you still have shame and you need to get to the root of it. Keep going. You will find it. DM me if you get stuck, right? Like if you are like in this process and you're like, yeah, I need some help because there's so much going on up in here. And I need to work through it one by one, layer by layer. So that is a simple, quick tool for you. And it's from Katie Scourgia. I would really recommend you read her book. She's a spiritual director. She's a therapist. She's an incredible, just, I love her. So that is from her work and it has changed my life. It's changed my client's life. And so I hope that it will change your life if you dare to do it. So next time you find yourself, in that moment, even though blank, I am loved and accepted by God. Even though I blank, I love and accept myself. Even though I blank, I trust you, God, because we're ultimately putting it like back into God's hands. Like, and so that is my tip for you today and a tool for you to use. It's been so helpful for me. I think I just said that, but so I would love to hear any feedback, comments if you try it, like, what comes up for you. And I hope you have a great day.